Coming up, a new book highlights Indigenous teachings for living well. We visit with one of the authors. Plus, we're learning all about this year's Miss Navajo Nation and more from an impressive women's rugby player. I am Aleut Chavez. Join us for those interviews from the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Arizona PBS is proud to support Indian Country Today. For 6 decades, we've provided television programs and now digital content. But we go beyond that, sending outreach teams across Arizona, offering workshops in language and literacy, family engagement and community outreach, and supporting tribal communities with early learning and school readiness resources. Join us at azpbs.org.
This is the ICT Newscast with Aleut Chavez.
Amadawa Hopa, thank you for joining us. When it comes to health and wellness, Indigenous perspectives are often overlooked, but experts Chelsey Luger and Thosh Collins are working to change that. They recently co-authored the book called The 7 Circles, Indigenous Teachings for Living Well. I sat down with Chelsey to learn more about this project.
Called The 7 Circles, and it entails 7 different areas of life that we believe our ancestors really thrived in and retained unique teachings associated with. And of course, we've carried on those teachings and we've carried on those traditions despite any hardships or barriers that we've faced over the years. And to this day, Indigenous people have very unique ways of talking about wellness, and we have unique teachings associated with how to live a balanced life mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So that's what our book is about.
You and your husband, of course, have been doing this work for some time. Has it always been in your plan to write a book, or maybe tell us about your process?
Yeah, absolutely not, because it's something that, you don't get to just, call up a publishing company and say, hey, I want to write a book. Like, they kind of had to come to us. And so we were just thrilled from day one when we got signed with a literary agency, and then eventually when we decided to go with the company that we're with, Harper One, which is an imprint of HarperCollins, and we've just been overjoyed, and it's been a very surreal and exciting process all along the way.
I can imagine. And of course, maybe tell our viewers a little bit more about the ideas that are incorporated into this book. You already talked about it more, but if someone was picking this up, what can they expect to learn?
So they can learn about Indigenous worldview and how it relates and how it understands wellness and interprets the concept of wellness and living in balance in a different way from what you often see. In the Western world, everything is separated into different categories, and in the Indigenous world, we recognize the interconnection of mental, physical, spiritual, emotional well-being. And all of these areas overlap, and what we hope is that this is an inviting perspective that doesn't put people in a deficit mindset, but rather it makes people feel that they're welcome and they're already on their wellness journey, and give yourself credit for that, and let's see how we can continue to take it from there.
I want to talk about COVID-19, of course, because when we talk about health and wellness, I think that impacted us all so deeply. Maybe talk about, people who are feeling like really bogged down or really just heavy right now coming out of COVID, what they can sort of take away from it at this time in particular. Yeah,
so certainly illness, COVID, any of these hardships that we face in life are a part of life. And we always say that in order to live in balance, you have to experience those moments where you are totally thrown off and out of balance and not feeling your best. And we accept that and embrace that as a part of the human experience. And we recognize that our teachings have brought us through so much. We have so much resiliency built within us. We have so much strength, and we can always return to that whenever we're ready.
Tell us what it was like to work with your husband on writing a book. Are you guys like it looks like it on social media, you're like the great team, but what was that like when you were down to the nuts and bolts?
Yeah, we have our little arguments here and there. Sometimes it's really hard because we have so many deadlines to meet and stuff like that. But for the most part, our work relationship has always been good because he's a photographer, I'm primarily the writer, and so he contributed these full color, gorgeous photos that you'll find all throughout the book. I mean, I think the photography is probably the best part of the book, in my opinion, so I really credit Thosh with that. He's been a photographer for decades, and so I kind of managed a lot of the writing aspect, though we both contributed, I contributed visually and he contributed writing as well. So it is a balance in the way that we work together, and I think that's why our relationship works and that's why our work works.
I want to talk about what the reaction has been to this book, because it of course has been released, I think a few weeks ago. So maybe tell us what you've heard from people who have read it. Yeah,
it came out on October 25th, and both the critical reviews and the sort of anecdotal reviews from readers have been so positive, so great. All of our book signing events have been totally sold out, standing room only. There's lots of bookstores around the country that are selling out of the book, and we're just thrilled. I mean, we feel so embraced by our community, and so we're really grateful and really proud to represent Indigenous community in this wellness space.
What's next? What kinds of projects are you working on? I mean, coming off of a book is, a big deal, but when we're looking at the future, what's next for you two?
Yeah, next thing is just continuing to do more of the work. And our priority has always been continuing to work within community, within Indian country, and offering wellness workshops and everything that we've always done. That's what we're just going to keep doing.
That was co-author of The 7 Circles, Indigenous Teachings for Living Well, Chelsey Luger. Imagine getting to visit the White House at 16 years old to tell high-level federal officials about what matters to you. That's exactly what happened to Gabby Nakai this winter. She's a former Earth Ambassador with the United Nations Indian Tribal Youth Program, also known as Unity. She recently told me all about how this opportunity came to her.
I've done a lot of work and advocacy in the food sovereignty movement. It started kind of at the height of the COVID pandemic when my grandparents back on the Navajo reservation were getting no fresh produce. So I found an organization, Unity, and I began a food sovereignty project where I grew seed banks and I grew an urban garden here in Phoenix, and then I was able to help my family back home in the Navajo reservation. And then from that, I got granted more opportunities within Unity, like the White House Tribal Youth Forum, where I got to interview a couple people on the U.S. Department of Agriculture and talk about some issues happening in Native country. And it was really interactive, my session. I had people from the audience talking about their own experiences and even talking about their own food sovereignty projects.
And what was their reaction when you were telling them about the work that you do?
Well, I think I introduced myself and I told them what my project was. I'm also 16 years old, so I think it was really taken aback by someone so young doing it. But I think that's really what we need more of, is young people doing these projects and seeing other young people like me, I'm just 16, doing things in their communities. It pushes you to go forward and do more advocacy.
Absolutely. And aside from this Tribal Youth Summit that you attended, I saw that you were actually at the White House for the celebration for Native American Heritage Month.
Yeah, it was amazing. Everyone keeps asking me in my school, and I don't have any other words to describe it except it was amazing. I got to meet so many people. I got to listen to Jill Biden speak, and I got to meet Deb Holland, who's like a personal role model of mine. And I don't know, it was just so cool seeing a bunch of Native youth occupy spaces that they normally weren't supposed to be in.
Absolutely. Well, I want to talk more about your work with food sovereignty. If you're looking into the future and you want to expand the project, what does that look like for you?
So I've been giving some thought about it. I think obviously getting news traction in any press is good press in my mind, but also I'm looking forward to spreading it more in different communities. So I have my seed saving packets that I want to do, and I want to spread them to other places. I got them from Native Seed Bank in Tucson, and then I want to share these packets and give them to different communities so that they can start doing them in their own communities, and maybe starting gardens and different cultural centers. I know a lot of Native youth group have youth councils, and maybe they can start planting their own gardens and do stuff like that.
And when you're talking to other Native high schoolers specifically, and you're talking about food sovereignty, is this something that they tell you they care about, or what do those conversations look like?
I think a lot of Native youth don't know exactly what food sovereignty is. It's such a big word, and it's kind of confusing for a lot of people. But I know that as Native people, we're all connected to the earth, so they know that there's something that needs to be done, and there's something that we have the only power to do. And any conversation that's happening about climate control or anything like that, Native youth should be in the conversation because they should be giving their voices as they're the ones who come from the earth.
Gabby, earlier you mentioned that a lot of people are surprised to find out that you're 16. Can you maybe comment or talk about, being a young person and how maybe that's actually a great tool to get your voice heard and your message across?
I think being 16, everyone's shocked to do it, but I kind of feel like more people want to talk to me because they see that I'm so young and getting out there. As a young person that's doing more, there are so many organizations for Native youth that can help you out and get your voice spread. Being a young person, they know that you're the future and that you're the real solution to this. So it really just grants you more opportunities. More doors will open whenever you look for them.
Wonderful words from Gabby Nakai there. We'll be right back. In Native communities, there are many different kinds of pageants. One of the most well-known is the title of Miss Navajo Nation. Valentina Clitso is the current title holder. She swept the awards category, including winning first place in the categories of Best Butcherer, Best Traditional Food, Best Essay, and Best Skill. Valentina told me all about the unique way she won the crown. But first, she introduced herself in Navajo.
Valentina Clitso Yenishia. Todachi Nishlan, but Ahni Bashichin, Tor Hanadashache, Ashin Dashanelle, Dislichin Brante Inasha. I'm Valentina Clitso, and thank you for having me here today. I am from the community of Black Mesa, and I'm proud to represent the Navajo Nation.
I want to learn about all of the competitions that you had to take part in to win this crown. Maybe tell us at a high level what kinds of competitions you had to take part in.
So the first competition we took part in was the butchering, and that was harvesting a sheep. And we used that to cook for the dignitaries, the volunteers, and we also gifted the contestants' parents with a sheep leg.
Oh my goodness. And you actually won in the category of Best Butcher. I was talking to a journalist at the ICT newsroom downstairs, and she was saying that that is a really big competition. So I wanted to ask you how you prepared for that competition specifically.
I've been butchering all my life, so that was one of the easiest ones for me to prepare for. But prior to the competition, I did have a lot of rest. That's something I recommend for that competition because it takes a toll on your body.
Yeah, I mean, let's actually talk more about that because it actually spanned several days. Maybe tell us, what the high points were for you, because I know you had to attend and give public speaking, and there was just a number of things that you had to do.
So the highlight of the week was the butchering, the traditional food. I really enjoyed the interview questions and also the traditional and contemporary skill and talents.
You also won Best Traditional Food. What did you make?
So we were required to make 5 different things. We had the Navajo tea, the intestine stir fry, the tortilla, the blue corn meal, and also there was one more item.
You're making me hungry here. I wanted to ask you if you had run for Miss Navajo Nation before.
This was my very first pageant, and so my very first time running for Miss Navajo.
And were you surprised by the outcome?
Yes, I was very much surprised because I didn't know what to expect. I'm new to the pageant world, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. And I'm really proud to call Gypsy P and Brianna Davis my sisters.
One of the parts about competing in pageants is that it's not only you up there, it's your family and so many people who have to support you behind the scenes. Maybe talk about, what your family had to contribute and what it means to you to have their support.
Well, my family was very supportive. Once I told them, they were like, yes, we'll get you outfits. We'll get you whatever you need in order to prepare, because I did all the preparation for the pageant myself. I wrote the essay myself and all the different components for the pageant, and they really stood behind me with outfits and jewelry and other physical aspects.
You're in this position now for a year. What kinds of goals do you have, as you fulfill this role?
Yes. So my platform for this year is bringing our language back into the home. So I want to focus on just all sorts of individuals that are starting to learn the language, individuals that haven't learned the language, but really advocating for them to let them know that they're supported, they're loved, and they're appreciated in their language journey.
That was Miss Navajo Nation, Valentina Clitso. Well, a group of young children in Phoenix are learning the healing ways of the hoop dance. My colleague Max Montour and I got an in-depth look at this fun initiative. The sounds of the drumbeat in a ballet studio. This is the scene on Wednesday nights at Ballet Arizona, the only professional ballet company in the state. 9-year-old Shakea Torres takes ballet classes here. That's when she noticed none of the other dancers looked like her. This spurred her mom, Ginger Sykes Torres, to take action. Together with a handful of other Native parents, Ginger formed a tribal advisory council and convinced the ballet company to offer hoop dance classes for other Indigenous youth.
It feels amazing that I'm dancing with kids that are like me.
Being able to learn the dance here in the Ballet Arizona studios is just a dream come true for learning any dance, but something where you can have the mirrors, have the wide space, have the high ceilings. It's just not something that's easily found.
Many urban Native children who grow up away from their communities aim to find ways to feel connected to their lifeways. That's the case of Rolena Morgan. She first learned about hoop dancing when stumbling upon it on TV. That prompted her and her brother to watch videos on YouTube and teach themselves. Then her mom found out about hoop dance classes and signed her up. She is the only in her family who is a hoop dancer.
And it really helps that you guys are doing more classes for this stuff, because we have no one in our family that really does and teaches it and passes it down.
Eva Bighorse is this year's instructor. She says the commitment is more than just teaching technique. It ends up developing into a cultural mentorship.
It's a wonderful opportunity. It's probably the best aspect of being the instructor, is having the one-on-one interaction with the kids. And I think my favorite part is just being able to watch the students grow and learn. A lot of times I get to see their excitement also grow with the classes, because I think it builds their confidence in themselves. And so the first class, they're usually really shy and kind of don't want to jump in there a whole lot. But with this class, especially both of them, I've noticed in both the beginning and intermediates, just confidence and happiness. And that's my favorite aspect of teaching. Once we start sharing dance opportunities with them, we have to start talking about regalia and how to dress appropriately. And so for a lot of these families, this is first time for them, and the parents will come and ask me questions on, what can my son or daughter wear? What would be appropriate? How should I fix their hoop? So Ginger created an online tutorial on how to make the hoops. And we've learned that there's a big enough need for the next session that we're going to just dedicate an entire class to hoop making.
Dance opportunities are more common than you might think. Phoenix is the home of the Hoop Dance World Championships, which are held every year at the Heard Museum. Since the classes started 3 years ago, some of the young dancers have already entered and placed.
There's more female students in these classes than male students. And even at the Heard competition, there's not a lot of female dancers when you get up to the adult categories. And I know this because I'm one of them sometimes. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot to dance this dance. So I think to see more females take it up and continue it throughout their life shows great strength.
Ginger Sykes-Torres was the class's first instructor. She was the first female to ever win a world championship title in hoop dancing. She said these kinds of dancing spaces are much different than what she had.
Something that I didn't have as a youth. I'm sure most hoop dancers don't have this type of facility to learn in, but it is really key to being able to expedite that progress in learning the dance style.
This is a long-term project for these instructors, all in hopes of helping Indigenous youth.
And giving them something that can motivate them to stay healthy, stay active, stay engaged, and stay in touch with their own selves and their communities is just something that is so fulfilling and warms my heart and makes me want to keep providing this opportunity to our youth.
In addition to hoop dancing, being exposed to ballet studios can also help in another way.
The idea behind it that got me most excited was the mission of this program, which was to expose the hoop dance students to not only hoop dance, but other types of dance forms, including ballet.
And in Indian country, you don't have to look very far for inspiration.
To me, the links between Native American communities and the ballet community was something that was easy to find in our tribal nations' histories. The first prima ballerina in the United States was Maria Tallchief, and so she is an inspiration to not only my daughter, but I'm sure many other Native American ballerinas across the nation.
For Ballet Arizona leadership, they say they will continue helping along the journey.
It's very important for us that we see representation in our company and in our school. And really how we begin that is by inviting the community to utilize our studios and have classes here so that they feel like this is a safe haven for them to explore their art form of dance. Hoop dance is something that we do want to make sure that Ballet Arizona continues to host. It is our goal not just to offer these types of opportunities once. We want this to be part of our blood, just like ballet is.
In Phoenix, Arizona, Aaliyah Chavez, ICT News. We'll be right back. We wrap up our show today hearing from athlete Kathryn Treder. Kathryn is Inupiaq and Aleut and recently represented Team USA at the Rugby World Cup in New Zealand. She told me how she first entered the sport.
So in high school, I was a wrestler and I also ran track and field. So I think, playing a contact sport wasn't new to me. Growing up in Alaska, I loved being active and I loved playing sports. I've always identified as an athlete. So when I got into Stanford, I was eager to find a new sport and something to, quench that competitive edge and that thirst to play sport. So when I heard that you could walk on to the women's rugby team, I was extremely interested. I tried it out and I haven't looked back.
That's so true because you were actually in New Zealand last month to play on a huge stage. So tell us about that experience.
It was honestly a dream come true. As women athletes in this sport, we're not yet professional. There are some people doing really big things to work to make that sport professional in this country. So as women athletes, we make a lot of sacrifices financially. We put our careers on hold. We wait to start families. And we also train full time while working full-time jobs. So to make it to that event through all of that sacrifice and all that struggle was a huge accomplishment for me. And also just the opportunity to get to represent my people and the land and the place that I come from was just an extremely rewarding experience.
Was there a single moment that it hit you that you were playing in the Rugby World Cup?
I think the opening ceremonies for me was when it really started hitting. Actually being there at the opening ceremonies with my teammates and all of the other teams that had qualified for the tournament, I think that's when it really started feeling real.
I want to actually talk about advice for Native kids who might want to try a new sport like rugby. If you were talking to one of them and, had some words of advice, what would you say?
I think rugby, especially for Indigenous youth in the U.S., isn't a sport that's terribly well known. So there is a little bit of a learning curve. I would say just be very brave, learn as much as you can, and, be comfortable being uncomfortable in that sense.
Kathryn, what's next for you now that you're, of course, recovering from your Rugby World Cup appearance?
I'm looking ahead to play some more club rugby. I'm potentially looking to go play professional overseas, and just to continue playing. The next World Cup is in 3 years instead of 4 years because this last cycle was delayed due to COVID. So I'm already back training and looking ahead, hopefully, to another Rugby World Cup appearance.
That was Team USA rugby player Kathryn Treder there. And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
Sometimes you got to take a stand just because you know you can. Oh, you got to run, you got to run.
The Sand Creek Massacre, the betrayal that changed Cheyenne and Arapaho people forever, focuses on tribal accounts of Colorado's deadliest day. Exhibition details at historycoloradocenter.org.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.